motives of those people are very complicated. She doesn't think of things in simple terms. She tends to see a lot of ramifications surrounding things. She realizes that there's a lot of stuff that plays into everything,
Mm-hmm.
And Mars being the sole dispositor of her chart,
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who's going to choose what she is and is not responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does not work well when people put responsibility off on her. And people should just stop doing that. It's not good for her and it's not helpful in any way. She's going to determine what she is and isn't responsible for. And when she does, she can be very hardworking about whatever she takes on as a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And, her closest to exact square is Mars Mercury. So she has a strong need to communicate, and she's very forceful with her ideas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she's very assertive in terms of thinking about things. She doesn't just believe what she's told, And she will argue with things, and she needs to be allowed to do that, to argue with things.
Mm.
It's like she could feel oppressed by, she's very psychic, and she could feel oppressed by all the psychic energy that's around her, coming from other people,
Mm-hmm.
and like that. But her North Node is in second house. So in this lifetime, she really has to think about what it is she has, her own talents, her own resources,
Oh.
and developing and nurturing those resources.
And she has a lot of talents,
But, the space ruler in her chart is the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And there in the fifth house, she has a hard time being objective about anything she creates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's very kind of emotional about it, and she goes about it in a very instinctive way.
Mm-hmm.
And the creative energy is like very up and down.
Yeah, she's really harsh and judgmental with herself,
Mm-hmm.
and she really has performance anxiety,
That's moon in fifth house.
Mm-hmm.
She feels vulnerable. Moon is the
Mm-hmm.
most vulnerable planet of all the 10 planets.
Mm-hmm.
And so she needs the proper support. That's just very important.
Well, I think she has a great deal of support.
Well, there's a difference between what people think is support and what the support she needs is.
And what would that be?
I don't know, ask her. See, that's the point, that's the thing, rather than to decide what it is, to actually find out from her,
Mm-hmm.
like what she needs. Jupiter, Saturn conjunct, she really has to make her decisions for herself. This lifetime's all about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She has to decide what's right and wrong
Mm-hmm.
for herself and what she needs personally to do. So she doesn't get outer... she can't, people can't tell her what to do. It just doesn't work. And then Mars is opposed Saturn. So that's that whole thing about wanting to be right, like wanting to do a good job, when she performs, and being uncertain about taking action, sort of thing. Yeah. And then, of course, the moon in Virgo is a lot about the self-critical thing.
Mm-hmm.
But just for her own emotional health, there's a really big need to create. Being creative could be extremely therapeutic for her. Okay.
Well, and of course she's been, pursuing some of those creative things, like the singing, although she's kind of backed off from that somewhat, although she saw her last week. But now the performance thing at school and this whole cheerleading
Well,
thing.
because of her creative thing, don't expect her to be consistent just because she gets into something. She might drop it like a hot potato.
Right.
Because that's where she needs to be.
Another thing that she's doing, some other things that she's got coming up down the line is that she's volunteering or going to volunteer or is going to be trained to volunteer at an animal shelter.
Uh-huh.
And not only that, but also at some sort of shelter for, abused women and
That'll be really
families and stuff like that. Don't you think that'll be good for her?
Very good.
Yeah.
And then, this year on August 2nd, Saturn conjuncts Mars. So, all of July up to August 2nd is going to be very big time for her spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
A really big time of her focusing her energy. And then Pluto's going to cross her south node August 7th.
Mm-hmm.
All of July up through the first week of August is very, very big for her.
Well, see, and then she's going to be starting high school right there at the end of August,
Yeah.
And we're going to try. I hope this works out. I think it will. I have to get with Regina and the group. We want to do an initiation for her. We just think it would be really powerful for her,
Yeah, that would be really good. The Uranus in 10th house could be trouble with authorities. She needs to be kept away from authoritarian type figures and people that come down on her hard or try to limit, restrict, or control her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She'd be really good to educate at home and not even send to school.
Mm-hmm. Except she likes the whole social thing of school.
Yeah. Well, if she could have that part without the negative authoritarian thing, that'd be
There's
great.
a lot of that at the school, and there's just no question about it, and that's always been her problem.
Yeah. I can really see where it would
But
be.
then she's doing a lot better,
Uh-huh.
Not as far as that's concerned, but just as far as, like last month, she was actually making A's and B's. We never thought, she'd be able to do that. So,
Yeah. But the main thing is to encourage that creativity and for her to realize that she really doesn't have an easy time being objective about her own creativity.
No.
Because she puts herself into it emotionally, and she has a hard time stepping back from it and looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, one of the reasons she's drawn to doing videoing herself and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that helps with the objectivity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She can watch what she's doing, sort of thing. I'm looking for degree meetings. So that moon's at 27 Virgo. I'm sorry, I don't know where to go here now. Oh, there it is already. 27 Virgo moon. A cup made from a skull. It is filled with dark wine. Did you read about the skull made from with dark
No.
with dark wine? The mind can generate such debris in its continual playing around. You know that this debris can be like fertilizer. We can't get away from it, for if we struggle against it, we only set up a conflict between ourselves and it. The best way to handle this is to allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling and to the depth we're feeling it. This will ultimately release and purify the mind. This degree embraces the old and the dead and uses it as a vehicle for the affirmation of new life. Then the Palladian symbol is a famous geisha performing the tea ceremony, uplifting the self into the finer and higher elements of being through beautiful ritual, the ability to turn almost anything into something subtly dramatic and fraught with the mystery of legend.
That's just her.
And then the Chandra symbols, the magician disrobes. He has no sex organs. The lack of sex organs here signifies the transcendence of duality and the overcoming of separateness. There's a tremendous ability here to see beyond the outer, to use the analytical power of Virgo to cut through surfaces and find the truth. The skull of the Omega symbol signifies the past, and the wine within it is the wisdom and learning to be gained from completely assimilating what the past was trying to teach us. At its highest, this degree has the ability to take in the past so deeply that it can then overcome dualities and fully arrive, as if by a miracle, at the present, where looking with an unclouded vision it sees things that have long gone unrecognized. Then the Azaz symbol is transparent fish swimming in a sea of vivid blue. Living understanding which dwells in an atmosphere of wondrous and beautiful clarity. Pure, vibrant intuitiveness expressed in all its crystalline aliveness. So that's what she's aiming for, going toward. I think it'd be really easy for her to have fame. Because, this culture really likes things that are unusual. And so she has Uranus in the 10th. Now let's see, the sun and moon are in no aspect. Venus and Mars are in trine, actually. Jupiter and Saturn so funny. Are in conjunction. And Uranus and Neptune no aspect. So the two things she has is Venus, Mars trine, and Jupiter, Saturn conjunction. So, and so I have Saturn in 12th house. So it's very easy with that to have nagging things that you're feeling, like impulses of something that you should do or that keeps coming back to you on your mind. And it's very important for her to follow those, to allow herself to embrace and acknowledge what's going on in her subconscious. And South Node in 8th, she's got to be aware of changing to please others. You know.
I don't see much danger of that.
She might do it to see what society's looking for, you know, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like what will sell, what will people like if I do this or I do that. Rather than stuff like that, she needs to just go with what's in her, you know.
Mm-hmm. So North Notice second house?
Yeah. Yep. Developing your talents is really good. That's a really good way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Nurturing them, you know, it's in Cancer.
Yeah, well, like she's doing that, but we're worried, you know, she's going to be like at the school. I mean, she wants to be in things and perform in things, you know. We were just worried about her being held back because of, you know, those authorities, you know, the grades, the
How the authorities-
absences, because that's how they
authorities-
judge you. They don't judge you just on your
Well,
talent.
you said three things: the authorities, the grades, and the absences.
Yeah.
I understand the grades and the absences. What's the
Mm-hmm.
authorities? How would they hold her back?
They're the ones who make the decision on whether you're going to get to do it or not.
Based on what?
Based on your grades, based on your
So the
attendance.
authorities are not
based
separate
on,
from the grades.
no.
If she makes
not
good
really.
grades, they can't stop her.
Right.
You know, she just needs to know what's going on in that department.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if she understands that, she'll go along with it. And you know, Chiron is like conjunct the galactic center, so a lot of healing energy could come through her.
Yeah.
I guess that's about it.
Yeah. Could
That Pluto over the nose is a very big deal. Could what?
what about it? The Pluto over the nose.
It's going to bring a lot of past life things to the fore.
Mm.
I said in July,
Oh yeah.
up to the first week in August.
Yeah. What about? Can you click on her solar return
Yeah. For which year?
for this year?
Well, Moon's in her second house, so she really will be developing her talents.
Great.
Ruler of her ascendant is in her sixth house, conjunct Mars.
Is Venus the ruler?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be taking a lot of responsibility this year. Great year, too, for working with groups and friends.
Yeah.
You know, Jupiter's very isolated. So that's, you know, Jupiter's very powerful in this chart.
Yeah, I think
Good
it's
for being in the limelight. Jupiter opposed Sun. It'll be a really good year for her. Very productive with a lot of good things happening.
yay. Well, I think it's really, going to be powerful. I've just been feeling like this move that she's making out of junior high and all of those old ways and so on and so forth, and and making her choice to go to Shawnee Mission South, I think it's going to be really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Well, there we have it.
Yeah.